you're only a touch away from getting the 4 keys formula used by professional cafe machines. The Impress Puck system ensures intelligent dosing, assisted tamping with a 7-degree barista twist finish, and precision measurement that auto-corrects the next dose. It's all you need to enjoy third wave specialty coffee at home. The best of the Barista Express with the Impress Puck system. You're a touch away from mastery with Breville.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam Spillman. I'm the Director of Coffee for Cafe Vita, a Seattle local roasting company, and your 2019 US Barista Champion. Today I will be your host for our Intro to Latte Art class, hosted by Breville and William Sonoma. Let's give a shout out to William Sonoma for creating this club, this coffee club we get to be in today, and thank them for this opportunity. It's been such a blast having these classes. Now, I am actually at the Chef Steps Studio in Pikes Place Market, right below where they throw the fish. Thank you, Chef Steps, for letting us use this space. This space is amazing and beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, as we get started, I know we have people from all around the world that are joining us today. Turn on your cameras, say your name, where you're from. Let's see it. Oh, perfect. We have Terry from Denver, Colorado. We have Linda from Wisconsin. Shannon from Ohio. Hi, Shannon. Teresa from Minnesota. Michael from Atlanta. Nina from New Jersey. And Ryan from Sandy Springs, Georgia. Amazing. This is so cool to see people from all around the stage joining us today. Let's pretend as if we are in the same space together. So we also have 2 guests that are joining us, and they're standing right behind me, Janelle and Andrea. Please say hello to Janelle and Andrea. Fantastic. As we get started, I want to tell you something very cool. We will be giving away a 3-month subscription to the beans.com program. This is ran by and facilitated by Breville, and this program curates coffees from different roasters and sends them directly to your home, so you don't even have to leave your house. This coffee is perfect for brewing at some of the highest end coffees from around the United States from different roasters, and it gives you the opportunity to try something new and try to find the coffee that gets you most excited. So you all have an opportunity to win this subscription, so stay on till the end of the call and we'll be announcing the winner. Fantastic. Now, like I said, I want to make sure that we are engaging as much as we can in this space and via Zoom. So if you have a question, feel free to use the raise your hand function on Zoom. It will bring your face forward and we can actually work through whatever you're struggling with or whatever you're having issues with together. Also, feel free to throw questions in the chat. If you're a little camera shy, that's totally okay. I see some faces now. Good to see you all. Turn your cameras on so we can see you. Let's treat this as a classroom. We're here together, we're learning. We're gonna pour a really ugly latte art, really good latte art. This is a learning experience. This is part of the process. It's so good to see everybody. Fantastic, look at all these faces. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. Oh, how fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as we get started, I'm going to dive right into a little bit of the science so we can talk about the components of milk and how it changes during the steaming process. This will give you a little bit of context before we jump into the fun stuff. So if we can get those slides, we are in the class of Intro to Latte Art. If you didn't hear at the beginning, if you're here for latte art, perfect. We highly recommend you taking our first class, Intro to Espresso, before taking Intro to Latte Art. But if you're here, awesome. We'll have some fun. So milk, understanding what milk is, helps us better understand how to steam our milk properly. So milk is made up of protein, fat, and lactose. Understanding how these components change. Also, lactose is just another word for sugar, unique to milk. So understanding how these 3 components change is very valuable in understanding how to steam. So if we go to our chart here, feel free to take a screenshot or a photo with your phone of this chart because it's a lot of information. But I'm going to run through it really quickly and really relate it to the steaming process. So protein. When the proteins in the milk start heating up, these crinkled up strands unravel and either end of the strand becomes very vulnerable. It wants to hold on to an air molecule or a fat molecule. And we want our protein strands to grab air molecules so we get that microfoam we're looking for. So when we're steaming, as soon as you turn your steam on and you hear the steam on kick on, start aerating. That way the proteins have air to hold on to. Fat. Fat is very straightforward. The fattier the milk, the more creamy in texture it's going to be. Steaming can never create that creaminess as much as non-fat is just never going to be whole milk. I recommend using whole milk to give you that creamy experience, but totally understand if you go to non-fat too. And we'll also talk about going to alternative milks. Now, lactose. Lactose is the sugars in the milk. And again, this is the nitty-gritty science stuff. So again, take a screenshot. I'm just relating it back to how we're steaming. So when we go to steam, it gives you a little more context to what we're doing. So the lactose, the sugar molecules in the milk, the sugar solids, as the milk starts heating up, those sugar solids dissolve into the milk. And our perception of the sweetness increases. Now, when we are steaming, we're trying to steam the milk until it's a little too hot to touch. So that sits about 140 to 155 degrees, somewhere in that range. For smaller beverages, I like to go cooler so you don't burn your tongue. Also, the cooler the milk, the sweeter it's going to be. So extra hot, I totally understand if you like your lattes very, very hot, but know that it's lost a little bit of the sweetness, or our perception of the sweetness has decreased. Perfect. Let's talk about alternative milks. So I honestly don't drink dairy, or try not to, even though it's delicious, but I use oat milk. Oat milk is the closest thing to whole milk. There are so many different options that companies have created. There are barista series or barista labeled alternative milks like almond, oat, rice. The list goes on. I mean, I think they have a milk for everything. But for oat milk, that gets you the closest to whole milk. So I recommend using a barista series or barista created or barista inspired oat milk. Fantastic. All we're gonna do with our alternative milk is we're gonna do exactly the same thing as when we're steaming whole milk or non-fat milk, but we're gonna aerate a little less and work towards a cooler temperature. Perfect. Moving to our next slide. So let's get a little hands-on here. The first thing is we want to make sure that we're putting the proper amount of milk in our pitcher. If we have too much milk when we're steaming, it's going to bubble out and spray everywhere. We do not want that. At the same time, we don't want too little of amount of milk because that will make the milk a little too hot. It's gonna be really hard to get the texture you want. So we're sitting between this range of here to about here, like an inch range. As you can see, I have these measurements labeled out on the screen. Feel free to take a screenshot to save that for later. But you always want to measure out about 2 ounces less than what you're gonna use for your full latte size. Fantastic. So right now I have milk measured out to the bottom of the spout. Wonderful. Now when we're steaming, there are 4 core things with the Breville machines that are consistent across the board for all Breville machines. The first is how much coffee the baskets can hold. It sits between 18 to 22 grams. We covered that in the last class. That's consistent for all machines. The next is that these machines use more than 9 bars of pressure, can use more than 9 bars of pressure, which is a ton of pressure to brew espresso. And that's how we get that nice, beautiful extraction. And the third thing is the temperature of 200 degrees. That's critical for brewing coffee. And the last, and this is the most important thing for what we're working on right now, which is steaming the milk. And these steam wands put out this beautiful steam that is super dry, which is crucial to steaming, and enough pressure to give us what we want for aeration and to get the texture we want. So let's go to the next slide, which we're gonna focus on positioning the steam wand. So if you, I did not get a design degree, so please pardon my drawing, but I think it drives a point home. So if you look at this drawing, this is a bird's eye view of a pitcher. So if we're looking top down on my pitcher, it kind of looks the same. Now we want to position the steam wand so it's centered in the milk, but with a pivot to the side. We want the tip of the steam wand to end up where those green stars are. We don't want it to touch the side of the pitcher. As you can see, the red ring around the pitcher. We want it centered and a pivot to the side. Fantastic. So make sure that our positioning is correct, and then we'll move to the next slide. So this exercise, when we go to pour a latte, it's important that we start understanding the motions. We have to build that muscle memory so we can control our motions. And the best way to do that is to utilize water, because water is harder to control than milk. So we want to sit our pitcher or a cup at a 45-degree angle. From here, we want to pour water, go high and low, without breaking our stream. It's harder than it looks. The next exercise is going fast and slow, without breaking the stream. Practicing these motions, I even do this today. I have been pouring latte art for almost a decade now, but if my latte art starts going, not looking as good as I want it to, I'll go back to the sink and I'll practice with water. Up and down, fast and slow. And then when we put those together, this will help us form our most basic pour, which is a monk's head. So we're gonna go high and slow, and then low and fast, and start tilting your cup up. Perfect. So I would use this water exercise to help us really gain the muscle memory that we're trying to achieve when pouring latte art. So let's look at the 4 pour styles. When we're looking at these 4 pour styles on our slide, on the top left, we have a monk's head. This is the most basic latte art, and it's super crucial to be able to achieve this before moving to another pour. It's like trying to learn your ABC or going into a spelling bee, but you don't know your ABCs. You have to know the foundational pieces before you can jump to the more complex elements. So we have our monk's head, which is our first pour that we're going to be focusing on. And then we have a heart, which is an easy, just one more step than the monk's head. And then we have a tulip, which is, as you can see, a monk's head on top of a monk's head on top of a monk's head with a nice draw through at the end. In my opinion, the most complex is a fourth, which is a rosetta. It's beautiful though. So I'm going to walk through the process of pouring a monk's head. So first things first is we want to make sure that we have the proper amount of milk. So measure out your milk. Next, we want to prep our espresso shots. That's very important. So when I'm prepping my espresso shots, just as a refresher, we want to make sure that we're following all the steps to pulling a shot. So I'm going to clean my portafilter with a dry rag, making sure it's completely clean and dry on the inside. Shiny, glistening, it's beautiful. Then I'm going to insert and grind. And this machine is very nice in that I just use this lever to tamp. For those of you who are using a manual tamper, just make sure to hold the tamper like a flashlight with your thumb on top. Lock your elbow into a 90-degree angle and keep your wrist straight and push down. Perfect. Perfect. So just so I can explain what I did with this one here, this is a Barista Impress Express. So when I push tamp, it gives me these lights here, and in the middle is a smiley face, which tells me that I have the perfect amount of coffee in my portafilter. Now, I was 1 notch up, so what I would do is I would actually lower my dose for next time, so then I can get closer to this green. That's if I'm in the manual mode. In the auto mode, it will, after you do a few doses, it will dial into this smiley face for you, which is awesome. So again, if I do it, you can see I'm 1 over, my dose is a little high. For the purpose of latte art, it's okay for now, but if I were trying to dial in my espresso, I would just adjust the dose or let the machine catch up and dial it in for me. So I'm gonna lock this in. Get a cup underneath. Now, while we're learning, I would highly recommend pulling your shot before you even touch the steam wand. That way you can focus on just steaming and not have to worry about your espresso. Perfect. At this point, grab your espresso, knock out any bubbles, give it a really good swirl, and then we'll go over to steaming. So before we steam, it's really important that we purge our steam wand. So use a damp rag, wrap it at the bottom of the steam wand and angle it towards the drain tray. We do this so we don't burn our hand. And then turn your steam wand on and make sure you let it purge all the water out. We want to expel all moisture. So I can hear it rumbling and kicking on. See the steam kicking out, perfect. If you hear sputter, let it run a little longer. That just tells you that there's a little more moisture in there. Once that's done, we can get into position. So what I wanna do is I wanna rest the steam wand in the spout of the pitcher, get it centered in the milk, and then give it a slight tilt to the side. I'm gonna crank my steam wand on. And as soon as I hear it kick on, I'm going to slowly bring my pitcher down so I can start aerating. Once the milk is the temperature of your hand, we're going to submerge the steam on and blend those bubbles in. And once the milk gets a little too hot to touch, we'll then turn it off. Now, this is a really good example. If you look on top here, I have some air bubbles on top of my milk. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brew my milk. I'm going to knock out the bubbles, covering the top so it doesn't spray me in the face, and give it a good swirl. Once you look at the milk texture, it should look like wet paint and glossy smooth. Okay, so when we pour, again, we want to tilt our cup. And we're going to go high and slow, and low and fast. And there we are. We have a monk's head. So basically, it should look like a peach or a cherry without a stem. That's what we're aiming for. That is the foundation of latte art. So as you're trying this, please show us your latte art. Bring it on the screen. We want to see your progress and see how everything's going out there. I can also give you some tips and tricks to make it a little better. In the meantime, let's go check on our students.
Hey.
How's it going over here?
We're pulling our espresso shots right now.
Perfect. And once those are done, we'll start steaming. What are we gonna do first before we steam? What is it?
Prime it, like with the steam?
Yeah, we're gonna purge the steam wand. We're gonna get all that water. Yeah, prime it up, get all that water out of the steam wand. Okay.
You said to put the towel over it?
Yeah, and just kind of pinch it and angle it towards the drain tray. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Fantastic. As we're working through this, if any of you out there have a finished pour that you want to show, or you have a question or something that's not working out for you, please come on the screen. We'll walk you through it and figure out those issues with you.
That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and get your steam
Cool. I'm gonna help you over here.
pitcher in. And
fine.
I can actually bring this towards you.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Okay, so flatten your pitcher out so it's parallel with the counter. Perfect. And we're gonna bring it up. Push it down a little bit. There we go. See how it's pointed pretty?
Yeah. Okay.
So see how it's pointing like further back in the pitcher? We want it more in the center, like the center line. So don't pull on the steam wand too hard, otherwise it'll just pop it all the way out.
Okay.
So once it's in position, tilt and then turn on your steam wand.
And if it's noisy, you're just too far down. And give it a little bit more angle so it spins.
You can hear it kick on. So immediately start bringing it down until you hear aeration. A little more aeration, bring it down. There you go. See that tearing, that spitting sound? And once the milk is the temperature of your hand, so right about a little more aeration. Perfect. Now the milk is about 100 degrees or the temperature of my hand, so then I'm going to submerge and just blend, blend, blend.
Okay. Until it's like hot to touch?
Yeah, a little too hot to touch, but not
Okay.
crazy.
I think.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead and turn it off.
Turn it off.
Awesome. And I was just bracing my hand because it's very easy before you turn it off to pull your steam wand or your pitcher away. And in that case, it'll just spray milk everywhere. I've done it way too many times.
Yeah.
Cool. So how we're going to do this is I want you to grab your cup and your pitcher. I'm going to swirl your espresso for you. And be really aggressive. Really kick that milk around, loosen it up. We want our milk loose, easy to move.
Okay.
Perfect. So go high and slow, tilt your cup.
Give this lesson.
High and slow.
Okay. And then just right in the center?
Yep. And commit. There you go. Now go low and fast with your cup tilted. Pour fast, 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 fast. Perfect. Great job. Fantastic.
It's a little peach.
A way I like to think of this when you're going low and fast is imagine there's a empty hole in the center of your latte and you're filling it up with sand, but really milk. So when you're going low and fast, aim for the center and just hold it in that spot and pour, pour, pour.
Cool.
Michael, let's see that pour.
Yes.
Awesome. Looks so good. Great job, Michael. Great to see those pours. Janelle, how's it going over there?
We got a little small one.
Yeah, let's see
little
it.
baby.
Yeah, that's great.
cute.
Any kind of white is amazing. It took me so long to get any kind of white on top. What we're doing is we're taking the foam of the milk and we're setting it on top of the latte, letting the crema form that foam into a circular motion. Fantastic job. Latte art takes so much practice, and I think that by the end of this, you'll be pros, or at least you'll have the understanding of the muscle memory we need to practice to get those beautiful pours. Any questions?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So something else that you can do, if it makes it easier for you, is when you're pouring, and you're laying your base, I call, is where you fill the cup half full with milk. When you're pouring, once it gets half full, you can pause for a second and then go down and low and pour your monk's head.
Okay.
That's a great
If you like to take a little break in between, breathe for a second. Also, there's so many moving parts when pouring latte art. It's like driving a stick shift, which took me a long time to learn. But when you are pouring, you can just make sure that you take a deep breath before. Like pretend it's like your morning yoga. Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at your pours together. If you want to slide yours over, Janelle. Fantastic. It's no competition. Don't you worry. Yeah, and that's like, so as you can see, with the thinner milk, it's just hard to get anything to form because there's not enough like air bubbles that are incorporated to allow it to float on the surface. So it's working against you, and that's where the texture of your milk is so crucial for pouring latte art. Like if you have great textured milk, it honestly does most of the work for you. So focus on the texture of your milk. Also, I could care less about the latte art on your drink. Make it taste good. Then we can focus on the prettiness. But I've had some very beautiful lattes that don't taste good. So I think y'all are doing it properly and that you're focusing on your espresso, the milk texture, and then we're putting it together. Great job.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, are we ready to try a heart?
Let's try it.
Okay, cool.
Let's try it.
Why don't you guys prep your stuff? I'm gonna go pour a heart and show you all how to do it, and then I'll come back.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep my espresso shot. Just to give you an idea, when we pour a heart, all it is a monk's head, and at the very end, we pull our pitcher up and go up and out, like a airplane taking off. So let's go ahead and put it in action. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I would love to walk you through anything that you're struggling with. It can be very challenging and daunting. So Annie has a question about the temperature of the milk and the froth setting for soy and oat milk. So temperature of the milk, you want to do a cooler temperature for alternative milk. So if you're using the setting for temperature, make sure that you're at a lower setting or a lower temperature setting. For the froth amount, I would say on like the Oracle Touch and the Bambino, go lower if it's an automatic steamer. So Oracle Touch, I like to do a froth setting of 3 for a latte. I find that's really nice. And for the Bambino, a setting of I believe 1 or 2. Try either of those. Perfect. I'm gonna pull my shot. Again, you can do this separately. Let your espresso pull. If you want to, just let it get that part done. So you can just focus on steaming. I would highly recommend. So Alex says that they're having a hard time getting foam before their milk gets too hot. So what I would recommend, Alex, is as soon as your steam wand turns on and kicks on, which I'm going to show you right now, make sure to start aerating right away. So I'm going to turn my steam wand on. As soon as it kicks on, I'm going to start aerating. Okay, and now I'm going to blend, blend, blend until the milk is the temperature of my hand. I have a question of, do you need a lower temperature for lactose-free cow's milk? And I would answer that with, I think just sticking with the standard 140 to 155 is fine. I recommend a lower temperature in general for all milks, just because that highlights the sweetness the most. Okay, so I'm gonna brew my milk, give it a really good swirl, loosen it up, and make sure to swirl your espresso so the crema's all broken up. Gonna go high and slow, and then low and fast, pick up and cross through. And there's your heart. So it's a monk's head I picked up and I crossed through at the end, slicing it, not dragging through it. You want to keep a thin stream when you pick it up and slice it through like an airplane taking off. Fantastic. Again, we want to start high and slow, low and fast. If you want to, go high and slow. Once the cup is about halfway full, you can take a quick pause and then go low and fast and finish it off. At the very end, when the cup is full, go up and out. Wonderful. Let's go check on our students. Again, if you are trying a heart at home or still working on that monk's head, or you're more advanced at a tulip or rosetta, show us those pours. We would love to see them. Let's go check on our students and see how they're doing. How's it going, Janelle?
I just poured my espresso. We've got this wand cleaned off, so I think we're ready to get the steam going.
Perfect, yeah, let's purge it up.
Okay. Let this go.
Also, like, best facial ever. And steam wands are great for cleaning rings, too.
Oh, great
Yeah,
tip.
like, there's so many uses for a steam wand.
I'll start doing my skincare after
Yeah, exactly,
morning
the
coffee.
steam.
Yeah.
Not only are you getting that latte in the morning, but you're getting a facial, too.
Amazing. Dual purpose.
Exactly.
Are we good? Is this right?
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's perfect. It's not sputtering anymore. Sounds like
Perfect.
steam.
Okay, so we pull this out, and then,
So rest it in the spout of the pitcher.
yeah, like,
That's going to be your anchor. And then keep, so if you flatten your pitcher, see how it brought your steam wand out?
yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
And then pivot.
And then we're gonna do the steam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then bring it down. So slide the pitcher down. Keep sliding until you hear a tearing sound.
Okay. That sound right there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's pulling in the milk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
So see those bubbles they're creating?
Yeah.
So also simultaneously we have a spin, and right now I'm just waiting for the milk to get the temperature of our hand, and that's
Yeah.
going to tell us when to stop. So like right about here, and see how those bubbles are blending as
Yeah.
we're creating them? That's ideal.
Very smooth.
Yeah, because the blending is what incorporates those air bubbles all throughout the milk, giving you a velvety texture all the way throughout.
Okay.
So the first sip is the same as the last sip, and delicious.
And so now that it's hot on my hand, is this when I shut off?
Yeah.
Okay. So steam.
Perfect.
All right. Oop. that just added some bubbles
It's okay. It's okay. I've done it before.
Okay.
It happens.
So
I got your steam wand. And
nice little swirl.
swirl this
How
up
does that
for you.
look?
That looks fantastic.
Okay.
Swirl it even more aggressively. Yeah, big circles, loosen it up. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pour. Cup tilted.
So high.
Yeah, and tilt that cup a little bit.
This one.
Yep, perfect. High and slow. Get a little closer. There you go. Now go low and fast and fill the hole.
Ooh.
Tilt your cup up. Great
We
job!
spilled, but we got one.
Janelle, I barely did anything. I was there just in case like cup dropped or something, but that's a heart.
Thanks. Yes.
Ooh,
we did
fantastic.
it.
Great job. Go ahead and move it to the center
Okay.
here. Again, it's not a competition.
It was a heart, and then
It's okay.
my
I mean,
shaky hands.
it's really hard to start like build the muscle memory of like when to start tilting your cup up, when to stop pouring.
Yeah.
But a good rule of thumb is when you are pouring, if you have your cup tilted at a 45-degree angle, you're going high and slow. Once it's halfway full, you go low and fast. As soon as you hear this click, immediately start tilting your cup up. It's a good rule of thumb, but it's good to spill. It's good to overfill your cup so you start understanding like, okay, that's too much milk. I need to back it down a little bit. Like push the limits so you know where to go.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's always going to be a question.
Yes.
Do you have any input, Sarah?
No, I think we're learning how to steam milk. We're learning how to put things together, and honestly, you guys are doing amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, fantastic. Well, let's keep pouring. I'm going to show you all how to do a tulip, and I'm going to attempt a rosetta. I'm going to be honest with you. Rosettas are the vein of my existence. I've had such a hard time with the rosetta my entire career, so I'll do my best. But maybe Sarah can show us a rosetta.
Happy to.
Okay, cool. So we'll show you a tulip and rosetta to kind of show you where latte art can go. And let's just keep practicing. I want you guys pouring, showing us our pours on the stream, and I want you all to keep practicing. We're just going to keep giving some pointers on how we can improve our latte art.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, you're
Okay, so how's it going, everybody? How are you doing out there? I would love to see some pours. Show me what you're working on. Even if it's a white speck, it's progress. So I'm very proud of y'all for giving it a shot. It can be very challenging and frustrating sometimes. So don't get discouraged. This took me years to really get down, and I'm still learning. So next, I'm going to pour a tulip. Get my shots ready. So again, let this finish grinding. Again, we just want to focus on getting the muscle memory down. This takes a lot of practice. So making sure we have the right positioning with our pitcher, having the correct texture for your milk is crucial. Otherwise, it's going to be almost impossible to create the latte art that you're looking for. So gonna get my shots ready. Simultaneously, I can get my steam wand purging. Fantastic. I'm gonna stop this a little early. Okay, let's steam. So line everything up, get a straight line. Move the steam on until it's centered in the milk. Once everything is centered and lined up, give your pitcher a pivot to the side. Once it kicks on, we're gonna slowly bring the pitcher down like we're stretching a rubber band. Once the milk is the temperature of our hand, we'll submerge and blend, blend, blend. Get those bubbles incorporated and distributed throughout the milk. Steam until the milk is a little too hot to touch. Diana asked if latte art is achievable with less milk, like a cortado. Absolutely. A cortado, by definition, uses latte milk, but it's at a cooler temperature. So you just want to make sure you have enough milk in your pitcher so you can get the texture you want. You can get the texture you want without making it too hot. And outside of that, it's just like a latte. Okay, so for a tulip, we're gonna go high and slow, low and fast. Okay, so here we have a tulip, and breaking this down, let's look at it. So this right here is just a monk's head. This base right here, all I did was did the monk's head motion. Now I added a little flair. Those little wiggles in there, I just kind of wiggled as I went, as I pushed forward, and that infused some crema in there to create a little definition there. Now this right here is another monk's head that I just guided forward into the base, which pushed the base around, and then again and again with a heart draw through. Now when I'm doing this, I want you to think of each layer. Imagine you're running a race, and you're running a race with your nephew. And he's 6 years old, but he's super excited to be running his first mile race. And so you're going to guide him through the race, stay right behind him, cheer him on, but you're not gonna pass him up, right? Because that's just rude. So while you're pouring a latte, when you go to lay that second base, imagine you are guiding that second layer in, but you're not crossing through it. You want to guide it forward, staying behind it, pushing it forward, but you don't want to just cross through it. It's not a motion like this when you're doing tulips. It's push, pull off, push, pull off. That's how you do a tulip. Tulips are just monk's heads on top of monk's heads on top of monk's heads. So Sarah asked a question, what should I do if my milk has a lot of bubbles when I first pour it in the pitcher? It seems like that affects the frothing. You know, it's okay if you pour the milk in and there's a lot of bubbles. To avoid the bubbles, when you're pouring your cold milk in, just tilt your pitcher and aim for the side of the pitcher. That will help reduce the amount of bubbles. But it shouldn't influence how your milk texture is when you're done steaming. Those bubbles should go away as you're blending. It's just really focusing on the blending. I believe, in my opinion, blending is 75% of steaming because that's how you get the texture. Adding air to the milk is just, think of it as adding an ingredient. If you were to make a smoothie and you put all the ingredients in, but you didn't blend it, you just poured it into a cup, it'd be kind of gross. Like, it's not a real smoothie. So we're trying to create a smoothie with our milk. We're adding air as an ingredient and we're blending it in to distribute it all the way through because we need that air to be pushed all throughout the milk to get that velvety texture that's easy to move around. Okay, Diana asked, if making 2 8-ounce lattes, do you recommend steaming the milk separately, or is it okay to steam a full pitcher and divide? That's a great question, Diana. I would say that it's important to do them separately as you're learning and getting comfortable with steaming. Now, if you wanted to split it, what I would do, it's called milk sharing, and I've actually used this technique in competition, but you want to, so let's say I have my steamed milk here, and right now it's just water, but I have my steamed milk for 2 8-ounce lattes. What I want to do is I want to pour like 85% of the milk into one pitcher and pour back about 4 ounces. And what that does is it gives you a nice distribution of foam because the milk starts to separate automatically. It's really hard to get perfect lattes by milk sharing, so I would recommend starting with pouring them separately. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and check on our students. Also, again, if you have questions, if you have a pour you would like to share with us, throw it up on the screen. We would love to see you. This is a learning environment and there's no bad latte art. Every piece is progress. Hello, wonderful students.
So let's go down a little bit now.
Andrea, how are you doing?
Good. I am about ready to pour my
Awesome. So
latte.
see the bubbles? Let's go ahead and knock those out. Awesome. And we'll swirl. Get a little spray in there. Perfect. Now you're ready to go.
Okay.
Milk looks fantastic. If you want to, you can set your cup on the side and tilt it like that if you want to use that to brace it.
All right.
So go high and slow.
Slow.
And commit. Perfect. Keep going. Okay, perfect. Now drop it down and go low and fast, like you're filling the hole. Go towards the center. Nice. Perfect. Keep pouring and flatten your cup. Awesome. Great job. That was fantastic. How'd that feel?
It felt a lot better. Using
Yeah.
the table definitely helps, like, support.
Yeah, it can be a little frightening when you're like in the air because
Yeah.
like things can go everywhere. So using the table to brace is a good way to start and get comfortable with it.
Awesome.
Sarah, what are you guys working on over there?
We're gonna let the art kind of happen. but
Yeah.
We're kind of aiming for somewhere between a heart and a monk's head.
I love that. I think
Okay.
that's fantastic.
We'll keep these realistic expectations.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Got a nice froth.
Beautiful. Give it one more big tap.
Okay.
Also, can we give Andrea and Janelle a round of a hand because this is their first time ever making
start.
coffee and they're
let's do it.
killing it. So
You made it so easy, honestly.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to simplify. Coffee does not need to be
Come down.
too complex.
And we'll just raise up that latte. Now you can get close. Yeah. Oh my God. Good job.
I can't make
It's a
anything.
hollow heart.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was not on purpose.
It's the beginnings of a swan.
Yeah, seriously.
That's amazing.
Great
You accidentally
job.
poured a really good pour.
Also, so like for yours, see how the cup isn't full all the way?
Yeah.
So I'm going to slide in right here. If you pour it into the side, just along the cup right here, it will fill without ruining your latte art.
Amazing.
So just bring
It's
it
almost
to
like
the
a
surface.
flexing arm.
Yeah.
Amazing, incredible, fantastic job, y'all. Also, going back to this one, that looks like a feather. It looks very intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fun about latte art. If you are practicing latte art, I would recommend go get a gallon of milk and just pour after pour. And if you don't want to use your precious beans, like 7 drops of food dye, like liquid food dye in your cup acts just like espresso. So you can use that too to practice so you're not wasting precious beans that you're trying to save and drink and keep you alive day to day. So fantastic. Sarah, do you want to show us the
I'm on
Rosetta?
it. Yep. Cool. Do you want me to do it right here?
You can go here or over
I'll go
there if
right
you like
here.
to, whatever you
Good.
want to do.
All right. I'm gonna bleed.
Over here? Sarah, do you want to come over here?
Absolutely.
Awesome, let's do it.
Sam, do you mind pulling me a shot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'll just trip into this space real quick.
Do you want to use this
I'd love
picture?
to,
Okay,
thank you.
cool.
We're coming to learn.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Oh my God.
All right.
And then,
So I'm gonna do all the same rules. I do this at home. I do this if I'm ever serving coffee to strangers. Just bleed that steam on. Keep your fingers away. Get your face up in there. It's not very often that I have like a U.S. barista champion pulling my shot. I feel so honored right
oh
now.
my gosh, I'm
Chef's
dying.
teacher.
I do. I'm gonna wait till Sam gets her shot going.
Wow, you're saying I'm taking a long time?
I'm just. I think you have a special way of doing things.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Fabulous. All right. Let's follow those rules. So air in the surface. won't bite you.
I'm tall too, so I can
Yes,
just
perfect.
right over your shoulder.
And I'm even starting to get that angle because I'm going to cheat and get rid of those bubbles as soon as I can. About 100 degrees. Now I'm just incorporating those microfoam bubbles.
Also, Sarah is about to attempt the hardest of the hardest, a rosetta, which is so hard to achieve, and honestly, is like the chances are low for anybody to pour a rosetta. But I have full faith that Sarah is going to knock it out of the park. Am I adding pressure?
Yeah, that's what, sorry. I suddenly got butterflies. I was like, wait. So
No one's looking.
if I do no good, just kidding. All right, let's come in. Just doing a little bit of grooming. I just want that satiny combination of, all I can see is color contrast difference. The bubbles are all the same size.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can not let Sam down. All right, come in. I'm gonna do a pretty simple rosetta, guys. Little pour.
Oh,
The mash is so pretty.
Oh my gosh. You made that look so easy. You should see my rosettas.
I can't tell if you're being silly or.
No, I'm being
Okay,
dead
cool.
serious.
It's super fun. It's like it's a heart, but instead of staying in the center and pushing milk away, you pull out of it. So it's like an exploding heart.
And then you finish, right?
And then
at
you
the end?
finish with a line
Okay,
through.
yeah. Take off.
Cool. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the drips. If you want to practice any of this without wasting your precious goods of milk and espresso, you can also take water and add a couple dashes of dish soap to mimic milk and foaming and aerating, and that will get you kind of like used to the motions, and like visually it looks very similar. And also pouring into food dye. It looks really pretty. I'm gonna drink it, otherwise your face will like turn colors. But it's pretty and it's fun and it's great practice. Fantastic.
Amazing.
Cool. Do you all have any questions?
No, I mean, I think it's just gonna take a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to use a non-milk alternative, what are we looking for? How would you get a creaminess?
So I can actually steam. Here, let me.
A certain milk type too, right? Like an alternative for barista.
Yeah, so there's alternative milks that you can find at the grocery store that are labeled. There's a glass of milk if anybody would like it. Yeah, that one's perfect. So there's alternative milks labeled Barista Series, like barista designed milk. I poured a little too much in there. Barista designed milk, and what they did is they tried to create that same structure of protein, fat, and sugars to mimic that whole milk. And so if I steam this, I'm gonna use this one here. Sorry, I should have given, instead of just pushing you out of the way. So when I'm steaming this one, I'm going to treat it just like whole milk. With all milks, I like to steam to a slightly cooler temperature because it's so much sweeter that way. So if we're steaming this, same positioning, same everything. Pivot to the side.
So this is the same technique then right now that you're
Same
using?
technique.
Okay.
Like as if it's whole milk,
Yes.
honestly. We just want to be extra cautious of the temperature. So if you're having trouble making your bubbles disappear, just tilt your pitcher more.
Okay.
And, if you're having a trouble achieving a vortex, tilt your pitcher more. If your bubbles aren't disappearing, just straighten it out a little bit, and it'll make your vortex a little more aggressive to pull those bubbles down. So, nothing different.
Yeah.
Like exactly the same. I get that nice texture. It's really about the choice of milk that we're using and making sure that we're following our steps. It looks like we need some clarification on the food dye exercise. So what I would do is grab a cup, add add enough colored food dye so that it coats the bottom of the cup. And then what I do is I pour a couple ounces in, swirl it around, so that's your espresso. It's your colorful espresso, imaginary right now. Then you're gonna pour just like a latte. So just pour it into that food dye, imagining it's pink or green right now, and then in the center. Fantastic. Cool. Okay, Let's see all of those latte art pours. Come on screen, show us what you've been working on. There's no bad pour, it's all progress. It looks like Michael's already finished his drink. I love that. Amazing. Nina is like going to town over there. I love it. Beautiful, fantastic, great job everyone. Thank you for joining. Love it, cheersing to the screen. Look at those monks heads. Yeah. Great job, Nina. Fantastic. Amazing. Well, thank you all. Before we go, I'm going to move some of this so we can take a group photo. So turn your cameras on, fix your hair, get those smiles going, and we're gonna take a photo together and celebrate our time together. Okay, so photo, let's get those cameras on. Everybody turn your cameras on. Amazing, great to see your faces. Oh my gosh, this brings me so much life. Thank you all for being here today. What a great time. Say coffee. Fantastic. Y'all look beautiful. Great job. Okay, now the next thing before we go is we have a beans.com subscription winner. And that is Diana and Matt. Congratulations. Woo! Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you enjoy it. Honestly, a great opportunity to try new coffees from all around the US and find your favorite. Thank you so much for joining us today. What's your favorite kind of coffee?
I like a cortado.
Cortado.
Oat milk
Fantastic.
cortado. Yeah.
We call those at Cafe Vita, the company I work for, we call it otados.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great drink. It's honestly one of my favorites. Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us, and congrats on winning the subscription. Thank you all for taking the time to join this class today. Honestly, these are the moments that give me life, and I hope that this gets you not only excited about coffee, but making coffee together. We do these classes every month, so if you feel like you need another refresher, feel free to join next month's class. Also, if you have any questions, I know sometimes I'll get out of a class and then like 15 minutes later be like, oh shoot, I should have asked that question. So feel free to message us, send us those questions, and we will answer them the best we can. Thank you all for joining us so much. Thank you for being part of the Williams-Sonoma Coffee Club. And here are some socials. If you ever have questions, send them our way. I do coffee 24/7. So send me those questions and I would love to answer them the best I can. If I don't have an answer, then we will go ahead and research it together. Thank you, Andrea and Janelle, for joining us. We put you on the spot. Yeah, absolutely. Y'all did fantastic and did very well under pressure. So great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think that wraps us up today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weekend and have a great time making coffee together. See y'all later.